Receptionist humiliates millionaire without knowing he's the hotel owner. His reaction left everyone speechless. Emily adjusted her golden name badge, which proudly displayed her name and the title Head Receptionist, for the 10th time as she admired her reflection in the service elevator mirror of the Ocean View Hotel. At 28, after 3 years as an assistant receptionist, she had finally landed the promotion she had been striving for. The most prestigious 5-star hotel in Miami would now be her stage, and she was determined to shine. The elevator doors opened to the luxurious main lobby, revealing a space Emily knew well, but which now seemed even more impressive. The Italian marble floor reflected the light from the massive crystal chandeliers, creating a dance of light across the walls adorned with rich wood paneling. The subtle scent of fresh flowers mingled with the sea breeze wafting through the grand glass entrance, creating a unique atmosphere of coastal sophistication. "Good morning, Emily. Ready for your first day as our reception star?" Olivia, the general manager, approached with her characteristic warm smile. With over 15 years of experience at the Ocean View, Olivia was a respected mentor to the entire team. "More than ready, Liv. I can't wait to put everything I've learned over the years into practice," Emily replied, her heart racing with anticipation. Her new tailored navy blue uniform made her feel even more confident. As Olivia explained the latest updates on VIP check-in procedures, Emily observed the bustling lobby. Executives in impeccable suits, women adorned with sparkling jewelry, and entire families dressed in designer brands moved through the space as if it were a fashion runway. "Remember, Emily, our guests expect the best service in the world. The Ocean View is internationally recognized for its excellence in hospitality," Olivia emphasized, adjusting some documents on the marble reception counter. The first few hours of the shift passed without a hitch. Emily handled each check-in with meticulous precision, memorizing guests' names and preferences, ensuring every detail was perfect. Her neutral accent and elegant demeanor seemed to impress the clients, who often complimented her friendliness. During a quieter moment, Emily took the opportunity to organize some reservations in the system when she noticed, out of the corner of her eye, a figure that stood out approaching the front desk. A man who appeared to be in his 40s was wearing a plain white t-shirt, denim shorts, flip-flops, and a worn-out cap. He carried a backpack on his shoulders that had seen better days. The contrast between his appearance and the luxurious environment of the hotel was striking. Emily felt an immediate discomfort, recalling the instructions about maintaining the high standards of the Ocean View Hotel. In her mind, that figure was certainly in the wrong place. "Good afternoon, how may I help you?" she asked in a tone noticeably less warm than the one she had used with other guests throughout the day. "Good afternoon. I'd like to stay for a few nights," the man replied with a genuine smile, seemingly oblivious to Emily's evaluative gaze. Emily cleared her throat discreetly before responding, "Sir, forgive me, but perhaps you're looking for a different kind of establishment. The Ocean View Hotel is a 5-star hotel, and our rates start at quite significant amounts. May I suggest some more affordable options in the area?" The man's smile didn't fade, but his eyes took on a different gleam. "I understand your concern, but I'd like to know how much the presidential suite costs for tonight." Emily almost laughed but maintained her professional composure. "Sir, the presidential suite costs $15,000 per night, not including additional fees and services. I'm sure I can find something more suitable for your profile at other hotels in the city." "Interesting assessment of my profile," he replied, still maintaining a cordial tone. "But I insist on staying here. In fact, I don't need to check in. I just came to meet our new head receptionist." Emily's blood ran cold. The word "our" echoed in her mind like a deafening alarm. Before she could fully process what was happening, Olivia appeared by her side, looking slightly pale. "Mr. William, what a pleasant surprise." "We weren't expecting your visit today," said Olivia, giving Emily a meaningful look. "William Thompson, owner of the Ocean View Hotel," he introduced himself, extending his hand to a completely stunned Emily. "Welcome to the team. I see you already have well-formed opinions about our potential guests." Emily felt the ground slipping from under her feet as she followed Olivia and Mr. William through the elegant corridors of the Ocean View Hotel. Her first day as head receptionist, which had started so promisingly, now seemed to crumble like a house of cards. The silence during the walk to the executive office was deafening, broken only by the soft sound of their shoes on the premium carpet. The owner's office occupied the entire top floor of the hotel, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Miami Beach. The decor, surprisingly minimalist for someone of such wealth, consisted mainly of black and white photographs of the hotel from different eras, silently telling its story. "Please, have a seat," said William, pointing to one of the comfortable leather chairs. Emily obeyed automatically, her legs trembling. Olivia remained standing near the door, a worried expression on her face. "Mr. Thompson, I sincerely apologize for my inappropriate behavior. It was a terrible error in judgment on my part," Emily began, her voice trembling slightly. William sat in his chair, still wearing that plain t-shirt and the worn-out cap that had bothered Emily just minutes before. His eyes, however, revealed sharp intelligence and a disconcerting calm. "You know, Emily, when I bought this hotel 15 years ago, I was stopped at the entrance by a security guard. I was dressed much like I am today. I had just closed the deal and wanted to see my new property. The guard told me that beggars weren't allowed on the premises," he recounted, with an ironic smile on his lips. Emily felt her face burn with shame. Olivia, who apparently already knew the story, nodded in agreement. "What happened to the guard?" Emily asked softly, fearing the answer. "He became one of our best employees," William replied, surprising her. "After I explained who I was, instead of firing him, I offered him a learning opportunity. Today he's our head of security and trains his team to never judge people by their appearance." Emily blinked, confused. That wasn't the answer she had expected. William stood up and walked to the window, observing the beach activity below. "Emily, you have an exemplary record as an assistant receptionist. Olivia has always praised your dedication and technical competence, but today you showed that we are still missing something fundamental in our team, the ability to see beyond appearances." "I completely understand if you want to fire me," Emily said, gathering the courage to face the consequences of her actions. William turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Fire you? No, I have other plans for you. In fact, I have a proposal." Olivia, who had remained silent until then, stepped forward with interest. William continued, "I want you to develop and coordinate a training program for all hotel staff. The theme will be Hospitality Without Prejudice. You will use your own experience today as a starting point." Emily's eyes widened, surprised by the unexpected direction of the conversation. "But I just showed that I'm not the most suitable person to talk about this topic." "On the contrary," William replied with conviction, "you are exactly the right person. Who better to teach about the dangers of prejudice than someone who just experienced the consequences of a hasty judgment firsthand?" Olivia finally spoke up. "Emily, this is a unique opportunity. Mr. William rarely gets personally involved in these projects. If he's proposing this, it's because he saw something special in you." "But I don't know if I'm capable," Emily began, still unsure. "You will have all the necessary support," William assured. "Olivia will assist you in developing the program. I want you to turn your mistake into a powerful lesson for the entire team. Additionally, you will keep your position as the lead receptionist. After all, you'll need the hands-on experience to enrich the training." Emily felt a mix of emotions: shame for the mistake she had made, gratitude for the second chance, and a budding excitement for the challenge ahead. The idea of turning her moment of failure into something positive was beginning to take shape in her mind. "How much time do I have to develop the program?" she asked, already starting to consider the proposal seriously. 2 months, William replied. "And to make things more interesting, we'll implement a practical evaluation system. Periodically, I'll send people with different profiles to stay at the hotel. They will evaluate the service without the team knowing they are being tested." Emily straightened up in her chair, feeling a new determination growing within her. "Mr. Thompson, I accept the challenge. I promise I won't let you down again." "Great," William exclaimed, smiling again. "Oh, and Emily, you can call me William. After all, we're partners in this project now." As she left the office a few minutes later, accompanied by Olivia, Emily felt like a different person from the one who had walked in. Her mistake had turned into an opportunity for growth, not just for her, but for the entire hotel. As they waited for the elevator, Olivia gently touched her shoulder. "Emily, you've just earned the trust of one of the most respected businessmen in the hospitality industry. It's not every day that someone gets a second chance like this. Use it wisely. Emily spent the following week immersed in research and meetings with Olivia, developing the framework for the training program. Her desk at the reception was covered in notes and books on hospitality as she tried to balance her regular duties with the new project. During quieter moments, she carefully observed the interactions between staff and guests, identifying areas that would need to be addressed in the training. It was during one of these observations that she noticed Sophia, her afternoon shift receptionist colleague, subtly rolling her eyes while assisting an elderly couple who were struggling to understand the check-in process. The scene reminded her of her own behavior with William, sparking an idea for the first session of the training. "We need to start with something impactful," Emily explained to Olivia during their daily meeting. "Something that makes everyone reflect on their own biases, just like I was forced to reflect." "What do you have in mind?" asked Olivia, intrigued by Emily's evident excitement. "I want to start by sharing my own story, being completely honest about my mistake and how it changed my perspective. Then, I'll propose an activity where everyone shares a situation where they were unfairly judged." Olivia smiled, approving the idea. "You know, Emily, this vulnerability of yours could be very powerful, but are you ready to expose yourself like that?" "I need to lead by example," Emily replied with determination. "How can I ask for honesty from others if I don't start by being honest about my own mistakes?" The news about the new training program spread quickly through the hotel, sparking mixed reactions. While some employees showed genuine interest, others viewed the initiative with skepticism. Michael, the veteran concierge known for his traditionalist demeanor, was the first to express his resistance. "Emily, with all due respect, but luxury has a standard," he argued during the coffee break. "Our guests pay for an exclusive experience. We can't simply ignore certain expectations." "What expectations would those be, Michael?" Emily questioned, maintaining a calm but firm tone. "The same ones that made me misjudge our own owner." The comment caused an awkward silence in the staff lounge. The story of the incident with William had already become known to everyone, sparking various interpretations and conversations in the hallways. It was at that moment that Isabella, a shy housekeeper who rarely spoke up in meetings, surprised everyone with her comment. "You know, last week, a guest treated me as if I were invisible because I was wearing a uniform. They'd hurt a lot. Maybe this training is important for all of us, not just to serve guests better, but to treat each other better too." Isabella's statement prompted several nods of agreement. Emily realized she had touched on a sensitive point. Prejudice didn't just affect the guests, but also created barriers among the staff themselves. Determined to turn these resistances into learning opportunities, Emily dedicated herself even more to planning the first session. She prepared a presentation that included not only her personal experience, but also data on how inclusive hotels were excelling in the international market. During this process, she received an unexpected message from William. "I heard you're really committed to the project. Keep it up and get ready. Our first mystery guest will be arriving soon." The message only heightened her anxiety, but also her determination. Emily spent hours reviewing every detail of the material she had prepared, mentally rehearsing how she would conduct the first session. She knew she had to be impeccable, not just for the hotel or for William, but for the entire team that, willingly or not, would embark on this journey of transformation with her. On the eve of the first training session, as she organized the handouts and checked the meeting room for the third time, Emily found a small handwritten card on her desk. "I've also been judged by my appearance here. Count on me for whatever you need." It was signed by Sophia, the same colleague she had observed days earlier with the elderly guests. That unexpected gesture brought tears to Emily's eyes. She realized her mission went beyond a simple corporate training. It was an opportunity to create genuine connections and foster real change in people's lives. With that thought, she finalized the last preparations for the next day, feeling more confident than ever in her role as an agent of transformation. The event room at the Ocean View Hotel was completely transformed that morning. The usual meeting tables had been replaced by a circle of comfortable chairs, creating a more welcoming and dialogue-friendly environment. Emily had arrived 2 hours before the start of the first training session, ensuring every detail was perfect. Gradually, the employees began to arrive. Emily watched their expressions closely. Some seemed curious, others skeptical, and some clearly would have preferred to be anywhere else. Sophia was one of the first to appear, choosing a seat near the front and offering an encouraging smile to Emily. When all 50 employees from the first group were seated, Emily felt her heart race. It was time to begin. She took a deep breath, remembering William's words about turning mistakes into valuable lessons. "Good morning, everyone," she began, her voice steadier than she expected. "Before anything else, I want to tell you a story. The story of how on my first day as head receptionist, I made the biggest mistake of my career." As Emily recounted the incident with William, she realized she had captured the room's full attention. She saw expressions of surprise, empathy, and even some smiles of recognition. When she reached the part about William's unusual proposal, she noticed that even Michael, the skeptical concierge, was leaning forward in his chair, completely engrossed. "And that's how this program was born," she concluded. "I'm not here as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who learned the hard way how much our prejudices can blind us." "But how will we know if we're being prejudiced?" asked a young woman from the reservations team. "Sometimes it's so automatic." "That's exactly why we're here," Emily replied, grateful for the question. "Let's do an exercise. I want everyone to close their eyes and think of a situation where you were judged unfairly. It could be here at the hotel or anywhere else." The silence that followed was profound. Emily observed focused faces, some with expressions of pain or discomfort clearly visible. After a few minutes, she asked for volunteers to share their experiences. To her surprise, it was Michael who raised his hand first. "Before working here, I was a concierge at a hotel in Chicago," he began, his usually confident voice now softer. "One day, a group of foreign executives laughed at my northeastern accent. They asked to speak to someone who spoke properly. I've never felt so humiliated." Michael's revelation sparked a wave of empathy in the room. Other employees began sharing their own stories. A housekeeper who was looked down on for her appearance, a waiter who faced prejudice for his sexual orientation, a receptionist who was underestimated for being too young. Emily realized she had touched on something much deeper than she had imagined. It wasn't just about improving guest service, it was about recognizing and valuing the dignity of every person. During the break, Sophia approached Emily. "You know that card I left on your desk? I wrote it because I identified with your story. In my first month here, a guest asked to speak to my supervisor because they didn't believe a black woman could be in charge of the VIP reservations department." Emily impulsively hugged her colleague. "Sophia, why did you never tell me this?" "Because until today, you were the first person to openly admit your biases and want to do something about it," Sophia replied, her eyes welling up. The second part of the session was even more intense. Emily presented case studies from other hotels that had implemented inclusive policies, showing how it not only improved the work environment, but also increased guest satisfaction and financial results. At the end of the day, as she was organizing her materials, Emily received a message from Olivia. "William asked me to let you know that our first mystery guest is already at the hotel. And more, he watched your presentation today, disguised among the staff." Emily froze, rereading the message several times. She tried to recall every face in the room, every reaction, every person who could have been William in disguise. But then she smiled, realizing it didn't matter. What mattered was that she had taken the first real step toward the change the hotel so desperately needed. News about the Ocean View Hotel's training program began to spread unexpectedly. It all started when Ethan Carter, an influential travel blogger who had been staying at the hotel during the initial incident with Emily and William, published a lengthy post on his blog, Luxury Destinations: How a Mistake Turned a Five-Star Hotel into an Example of Humanity, read the title of the post. Emily found out about the publication through Sophia, who burst into the reception one morning waving her phone. "Emily, you need to see this. The post is going viral," exclaimed Sophia, showing her phone screen to her colleague. Ethan's text detailed how he had witnessed the scene between Emily and William, and how, weeks later, upon returning to the hotel, he found a completely transformed atmosphere. "What impressed me the most," wrote Ethan, "wasn't just the change in service, but the authenticity with which this transformation is happening. During my last stay, I witnessed a scene I will never forget. I saw a housekeeper comforting an elderly guest who was having trouble with her key card. Instead of simply opening the door and leaving, She took the time to teach the lady how to use the card correctly, with admirable patience and respect. The post quickly gained thousands of shares, attracting the attention of local media and other professionals in the hospitality industry. Soon, the reception phone wouldn't stop ringing with inquiries about the training program. Emily was organizing her folder of documents when Olivia appeared with a concerned expression. "Emily, we need to talk. Ethan's post is generating more attention than we expected. Some media outlets want to do stories about the program. Isn't that good?" asked Emily, confused by Olivia's concern. "It could be great or terrible," replied Olivia, sitting down beside her. "It depends on how we handle it. William wants you to lead the hotel's response to all this attention." Emily's heart raced. One thing was leading an internal training session, but becoming the spokesperson for an initiative that was growing much larger than she had imagined was something entirely different. Meanwhile, the changes within the hotel began to manifest in subtle but significant ways. Michael, the once resistant concierge, surprised everyone by creating an informal support group for employees to share experiences and challenges. Isabella, the shy housekeeper, started offering valuable tips on how to approach guests from different cultures, based on her own observations over the years. However, not everything was rosy. A small group of more traditionalist employees began expressing concerns that the hotel was losing its exclusivity. Emily overheard whispered comments about how certain standards need to be maintained and how not everyone is born to frequent luxury places. The tension reached its peak when Emily discovered an anonymous comment on a booking site. "The Ocean View Hotel is turning into a common inn. Where is the refinement we once knew?" It was Sophia who helped Emily keep things in perspective. "You know what's interesting?" she said over coffee. "While some people complain that we're losing exclusivity, our occupancy rate has increased by 15% in the last month, and positive reviews about the service have skyrocketed." Emily smiled, remembering William's words about turning mistakes into opportunities. She was about to respond when she noticed an elderly gentleman struggling to carry his heavy luggage to the elevator. Before she could do anything, she saw Michael, the traditionalist concierge, rushing to help him. "Let me assist you, sir," Michael said with genuine concern. "Which floor are you staying on?" The elderly man, dressed simply but neatly, smiled gratefully. 12th floor. "You know, I used to be a gardener here 30 years ago. I never imagined I'd one day stay at this hotel. I saved all year to give this golden anniversary gift to my wife." Emily watched the scene, moved as Michael not only helped with the luggage but also listened attentively to the former employees' stories about what the hotel was like 3 decades ago. It was exactly this kind of moment that justified all the changes they were going through. That night, as she finished her shift, Emily found a new note on her desk. "You were right. True luxury lies in how we treat people." Signed, Michael. The initial success of the training program brought with it a series of new challenges that Emily hadn't anticipated. Media attention grew by the day, and with it, so did the pressure on the entire team at the Ocean View Hotel. One particularly hectic morning, Emily was surprised by a call from William. "Emily, we need to meet urgently. Some complications have arisen." When she entered the owner's office, Emily found not only William but also Olivia and 2 men she didn't recognize. One of them introduced himself as a representative of the United States Luxury Hotels Association. "Miss Emily," he began in a formal tone, "we've come to discuss some concerns regarding the recent changes at the Ocean View Hotel. There is a certain standard that affiliated hotels are expected to maintain." Emily felt her stomach churn but kept her composure. William, still dressed in his signature casual attire, remained calm, observing the situation with interest. "What specific standards do you believe we're neglecting?" Emily asked, maintaining a professional tone. "Well," the representative continued uncomfortably, "some of our members have expressed concern about the, let's say, excessive democratization of the environment. A 5-star hotel has certain expectations to meet." It was at this moment that Sophia burst into the room after lightly knocking on the door. "Sorry to interrupt, but I thought you needed to see this right away." She handed her tablet to William, who began reading aloud an email received just minutes before. It was a message from one of Europe's most respected hotel critics, who had stayed at the Ocean View Hotel the previous week, incognito, as was his custom. His words were clear and impactful. In 25 years of evaluating luxury hotels around the world, I have rarely encountered an establishment that so perfectly balances service excellence with genuine hospitality. The training program developed by the Ocean View Hotel team not only maintains the expected luxury standards, but elevates them to a new level by adding a human dimension that is often missing in many establishments of the same caliber. The silence that followed was broken by William, who finally spoke up. "Gentlemen, I appreciate the association's concern, but the Ocean View Hotel is setting its own standards now. Standards that include both technical and human excellence." The association representatives left the meeting visibly unsettled, while Emily felt a mix of relief and pride. However, William called her aside for a private conversation shortly after. "Emily, you're doing an exceptional job, but we need to prepare for the next level," he said, pulling a folder from his drawer. "Tomorrow, we will host a group of 50 executives for an international conference. It will be the biggest test of our new program yet." Emily felt the weight of responsibility, but also a renewed confidence. "We're ready, William. The team is more united and committed than ever." "Great, because there's one more thing," William added with an enigmatic smile. "Among the conference participants will be someone very special, the person who taught me the importance of humility in the business world. My father." Emily's eyes widened in surprise. In all these months, William had never mentioned his family or his personal history. "Your father?" she asked, curious. "Yes," replied William, his gaze lost in memories. "A man who started as a hotel janitor and ended up owning one. He taught me that true luxury isn't in the marble or crystal, but in how we make people feel." The Ocean View Hotel was the first hotel he managed to buy 30 years ago. I've just carried on his legacy. Emily felt the weight of that revelation. Now she understood even better why William had reacted the way he did to her initial mistake, and why he had turned that mistake into such a significant opportunity for change. As she left the office, she found Sophia waiting anxiously. "So, how did it go?" "Sophia," Emily replied with a determined smile, "get ready. Tomorrow, we're going to show the world that luxury and humanity aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, one can't truly exist without the other." The lobby of the Ocean View Hotel had never been so bustling. Executives from various countries arrived for the international conference, creating a vibrant and multicultural atmosphere. Emily, at her post at the reception desk, coordinated check-ins with meticulous precision, while proudly observing how her team applied the principles from their training. Michael, in particular, stood out. The concierge who had once resisted the changes now guided guests with a perfect blend of professionalism and warmth, effortlessly conversing in 3 different languages and making each person feel especially welcome. "Impressive how things have changed, isn't it?" commented Sophia, who was assisting Emily with the registrations. "Look at Michael helping that gentleman with his luggage." "Wait, Emily, isn't that—" Emily followed Sophia's gaze, and her heart raced. A gentleman in his 70s, dressed in a simple yet elegant suit, had just entered the hotel. His posture was dignified, but there was something in his eyes, a familiar spark she recognized immediately. "William's father," Emily whispered to Sophia. Before they could exchange more words, the man was already approaching the reception desk. "Good afternoon," he said with a gentle smile. "James Thompson checking in." Emily felt as nervous as she had on her first day of work. "Welcome, Mr. Thompson. It's an honor to have you with us." As she processed the check-in, she noticed the man carefully observing every detail of the lobby. "You know, young lady," he commented while signing the documents, "I used to clean this floor every morning. Italian marble requires special care to maintain its shine." His eyes sparkled with the memory. "But the true shine of a hotel isn't in the floor. It's in the eyes of the guests when they feel truly welcomed." Emily felt a lump in her throat. "You're absolutely right. In fact, your son taught us a lot about that." James smiled more broadly. "William told me about the training program you developed. He said he was inspired by an interesting incident." Emily blushed slightly but kept her smile. "Yes, an incident that taught me the most valuable lesson of my career." "Do you know what my first lesson at this hotel was?" asked James, leaning slightly over the counter. "In 1975, I was a janitor here. One day, a very elegant guest saw me cleaning the lobby, and instead of ignoring me like everyone else, stopped to talk. He asked me about my family, my dreams. At the end of the conversation, he told me, "James, you're not just a janitor. You're the guardian of the first impression guests have of this place." That man later became my mentor and helped me buy this hotel. The story deeply moved Emily. Now she understood even better the origin of William's philosophy on dignity and respect. The rest of the afternoon unfolded at a fast pace. The conference began with a series of lectures in the hotel's convention center, and the team worked tirelessly to meet all the participants' needs. Emily watched with satisfaction as each employee demonstrated the lessons from the training program through small gestures and special attentions. During the opening cocktail, Emily noticed something curious. James Thompson was chatting animatedly with the hotel's longest-serving employees, addressing each by name. He remembered details about their lives, asked about their families, and shared old stories about the hotel. "He hasn't changed a bit," commented Mrs. Margaret, the hotel's longest-serving housekeeper, who approached Emily with teary eyes. "When he was our boss, he always said we were a family. And look, after all this time, he still remembers my grandchildren's names." At the end of the day, while organizing the final details for the next day, Emily received a message from William. "My father just called me. He said the hotel is exactly as he dreamed it would be one day, luxurious in comfort, but especially in human warmth. Congratulations, Emily. You helped make his dream come true." Emily reread the message several times, moved. When she looked up, she saw James Thompson crossing the lobby toward the elevators. He paused briefly, ran his hand affectionately over the noble wooden railing, and smiled as if reuniting with an old friend. At that moment, Emily realized she wasn't just managing a training program. She was helping preserve and strengthen a legacy of humanity and dignity that had begun long before her, with a simple janitor who dreamed of making people feel truly welcomed. The second day of the conference brought a surprise no one at the Ocean View Hotel expected. During breakfast, James Thompson asked to make an informal announcement to the participants. William, who had just arrived, seemed as surprised as everyone else. "Good morning, everyone," James began, his calm voice filling the room. "Many here know me as a businessman in the hotel industry, but few know that my story started very differently, and today I want to share something special with you." Silence filled the room as James continued. 45 years ago, I was cleaning this very floor where you stand. I was a janitor, proud of my work, but dreaming of doing more. One day, a very special guest changed my life by treating me with dignity and respect, something rare for a cleaning staff member at that time. Emily, who was watching the scene alongside Sophia and other staff members, noticed that several executives present had stopped eating, completely absorbed in the story. "This hotel," James continued, "is not just a luxury establishment. It is a symbol of how respect and dignity can transform lives. Yesterday, I witnessed something extraordinary here. I saw staff treating every person with the same respect that changed my life years ago. And this is due to a very special initiative." To Emily's surprise, James gestured in her direction, inviting her to step forward. With trembling legs, she walked to the center of the room. "This young woman," he said, placing his hand on her shoulder, "created a training program that is revolutionizing the way we think about luxury hospitality. And do you know why? Because she had the courage to turn a mistake into a valuable lesson for everyone." Emily felt tears welling up in her eyes as James shared with everyone the story of the day she had judged William by his appearance. But instead of embarrassment, she felt pride as she saw how her experience was inspiring others. "And there's more," James added, surprising everyone. "Today, I officially announced that the humanized hospitality program of the Ocean View Hotel will be implemented across our entire hotel network in Latin America. Emily, we want you to lead this expansion." The surprise on William's face showed that even he hadn't known about his father's decision. The announcement was met with a round of enthusiastic applause from the attendees. After breakfast, during a more private meeting with William and James, Emily was still trying to process everything that had happened. "Emily," James said, "when William told me about you, I thought it was just another corporate training case. But yesterday, as I observed the hotel, I saw something different. I saw the same spark in the employees' eyes that I had when I first dreamed of this place." William, who had been quiet until then, finally spoke up. "Dad, why didn't you tell me about your plans for the program?" James smiled. "Because I needed to see it for myself. You know, son, when I left the hotel in your hands, you promised me you would keep alive the spirit of hospitality we built. Now I see you've done even better. You found someone who managed to turn that spirit into something even more special. Emily, still emotional, found the strength to speak. Mr. Thompson, this expansion is a huge responsibility. That's exactly why it has to be you, James interrupted gently. You not only understood the essence of what we've built here, but you managed to transform it into something others can learn and replicate. At that moment, Olivia hurried into the room. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. She showed her tablet, where several notifications were popping up. James's announcement was already making waves on social media and in specialized press. Luxury hotel revolutionizes hospitality concept with humanized program, Olivia read. The group's stocks have already risen 5% just this morning. William smiled. It seems the market also understood that luxury and humanity can go hand in hand, right, Dad? James nodded, satisfied. Emily, do you know why I chose you to lead the program's expansion? Because you made a mistake, and instead of hiding from it, you turned it into an opportunity for growth for everyone. That's exactly how we build something truly lasting. The weeks following the conference were intense for Emily. The news of the training program's expansion across the entire hotel network brought with it an avalanche of new responsibilities and challenges. Her small office on the mezzanine of the Ocean View Hotel had turned into a strategic planning hub. You need a bigger team, Sophia said, helping Emily organize a mountain of documents. How you can't coordinate the expansion to 20 hotels all by yourself? Emily agreed, running her hand through her already disheveled hair after hours of meetings. William suggested I build my own team. Actually, Sophia, you would be my first choice as assistant coordinator. Sophia's eyes sparkled with surprise and emotion. Me? But are you sure? Absolutely, Emily replied with a smile. You've been by my side since the beginning, even when I was still learning to deal with my own biases. Besides, your personal experience would be incredibly valuable for the program. As they discussed the details of the new partnership, they were interrupted by Michael, who entered the office carrying an old box. Sorry to interrupt, he said, placing the box on the table, but I found something you need to see. I was cleaning out the old archives and came across these documents. Emily and Sophia approached curiously. Inside the box were old photographs, yellowed documents, and a time-worn journal. It's Mr. James's journal, Michael explained, reverence in his voice. From when he was a janitor here, it has records of all his dreams for the hotel, including some projects that were never realized. Emily carefully picked up the journal, feeling the weight of history in her hands. As she opened it, she found page after page of detailed notes, written in meticulous handwriting. One passage in particular caught her attention. Today, while cleaning the lobby, I imagined what it would be like if one day everyone who walked through those doors was greeted with the same respect, no matter who they were. I dream of a hotel where luxury isn't just about marble and crystal, but about how we make people feel. A place where every employee is a guardian, not only of the physical space, but of the dignity of every guest. That was written over 40 years ago, murmured Emily, moved. And it's exactly what we're building now. As they flipped through the journal, they discovered that James had plans to create a free hospitality school for low-income youth, giving them the same opportunity he had. The project had never left the drawing board. Emily, said Sophia, her eyes sparkling with an idea, what if we incorporated this into the expansion program? We could create training centers at each hotel in the chain, offering education not just for employees, but also for young people in the community. The idea lit a spark in Emily's mind. It was the missing piece to make the program truly transformative. Immediately, she began scribbling frantic notes in her notebook. We need to present this to William and Mr. James, she said, excited. We wouldn't just be expanding a training program, we'd be fulfilling a dream that started 40 years ago. At that moment, Olivia walked into the office with urgent news. Emily, brace yourself. The press found out about Mr. James's journal. Apparently, someone from the hotel mentioned its existence on social media. Several outlets are asking for interviews. Emily felt a mix of concern and inspiration. Maybe this is a good thing, she said after a moment of reflection. We can use this attention to launch the hospitality school project. Show that the Ocean View Hotel isn't just changing its own culture, but wants to transform the entire industry. Michael, who had remained quiet for a while, finally spoke up. You know, Emily, when you started this program, I thought it was just another corporate initiative, but now I see we're making history. We're fulfilling the dream of a man who started from nothing and never forgot his roots. Emily looked at the diary in her hands, at Sophia with her eyes shining with anticipation, and at Michael, who had transformed from a critic to an ally. She realized the program had become much more than a simple response to her mistake. It was now the catalyst for a transformation James Thompson had dreamed of decades ago. "Let's make it happen," she said, determined. "We'll turn every hotel in the chain not just into a place of luxury, but into a hub for social transformation. It's time to show the world that true luxury lies in changing lives." The discovery of James Thompson's diary sparked a commotion no one could have predicted. The story of the janitor who became the hotel owner and dreamed of a more humane and inclusive hospitality industry captured the public's and the media's imagination. Emily now faced her greatest challenge, presenting the expanded hospitality school project to the group's board. William had organized a special meeting, attended by James and the network's top executives. On the morning of the presentation, Emily arrived early at the hotel and went straight to the lobby. She stopped at the same spot where, months earlier, she had made the mistake that would change her life, judging William by his appearance. She smiled, thinking about how that moment had turned into something so much bigger and more meaningful. "Nervous?" asked a familiar voice. It was James, approaching with his usual calm demeanor. "A little," Emily admitted. "But it's a good kind of nervousness. You know, Mr. James, reading your diary made me realize that we're not just creating a training program. We're fulfilling a dream that started a long time ago." James smiled, his eyes shining with contained emotion. "Emily, when I wrote those words, I was just a young janitor dreaming too big. Today I see that maybe I wasn't dreaming big enough." The meeting room was packed. Executives from across the hotel chain, some from other countries, were waiting for the presentation. Sophia, now officially the assistant coordinator of the program, stood beside Emily, offering silent support. "Ladies and gentlemen," Emily began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "A few months ago, a mistake of mine sparked a journey of transformation at the Ocean View Hotel. Today I want to present to you not just the expansion of a training program, but the fulfillment of a dream that began over 40 years ago." As Emily outlined the details of the hospitality school project, she showed how each hotel in the chain could become a center for education and social transformation. The program wouldn't just train employees in humanized hospitality, but would also offer opportunities to young people from underserved communities. "True luxury," she said, quoting James's diary, "isn't just in the material details, but in how we make people feel." And that applies to both our guests and those who dream of being part of this industry. The presentation was interrupted by spontaneous applause when Emily revealed that several former hotel employees, including some who had worked with James in his early days, had volunteered to be mentors in the program. William, who watched everything with evident pride, took the floor. "What Emily is proposing isn't just a training program, and more importantly, it's the fulfillment of my father's dream, who always believed this hotel could be more than just a place for wealthy people to stay." James, visibly moved, stood up to speak. "When I started as a janitor, I learned that the true value of a hotel isn't in its walls or furniture, but in the people who make it work." Emily not only understood this, but found a way to turn this truth into a lasting legacy. The meeting ended with unanimous approval of the project. It's a revolution in how we think about luxury hospitality. The hospitality school would be implemented in phases, starting at the Ocean View Hotel and gradually expanding to the entire network. After everyone left, Emily stayed in the room with Sophia, still processing everything that had happened. "Do you know what's most incredible?" said Sophia. "All of this started with a mistake that most people would try to hide or forget." Emily smiled, picking up James's journal from the table. "Sometimes, our mistakes are just the beginning of something much bigger than we can imagine. The important thing is having the courage to turn them into something positive." At that moment, Olivia walked into the room with another surprise. The Ocean View Hotel had just been nominated for an International Innovation Award in hospitality, specifically for the Humanized Training Program. And that's not all. Olivia added with a smile. Several luxury hotels from other chains are asking to join the program. It seems like you've started a movement. The grand ballroom of the Ocean View Hotel was unrecognizable. 6 months had passed since the approval of the hospitality school project, and that night marked not only the graduation of the first class, but also a special celebration of the hotel's 45th anniversary. Emily watched proudly as the 50 graduates stood in their navy blue gowns, the hotel's official color. Among them was Daniel, the son of housekeeper Isabella, who had always dreamed of working in hospitality but could never afford a professional course. "I still can't believe this is really happening," said Sophia, adjusting the table decorations for the 10th time. The ballroom was elegantly decorated with old photos of the hotel, including several of James during his time as a janitor, visually telling the story of the place's transformation. Guests began to arrive. Hospitality executives, journalists, local authorities, and most importantly, the graduates' families. Emily noticed the contrast between the simple attire of some families and the expensive suits of the businessmen, but she smiled as she saw how everyone mingled naturally, chatting and sharing stories. "Emily," called Michael, hurrying over, "you need to see this." The graduates have prepared a surprise. Following the concierge, Emily entered an adjacent room where the 50 students were gathered. Daniel, who had become a natural leader of the class, took the floor. "Emily, when we started this course, many of us felt we didn't belong in a place like the Ocean View Hotel. But you and your team taught us that true luxury isn't about appearances, but about how we treat people. We've prepared something special to show our gratitude." The students organized themselves and began to sing a song they had composed especially for the occasion. The lyrics spoke of dreams, transformation, and the importance of looking beyond appearances. Emily felt tears streaming down her face as she listened to those voices joining in harmony. During the official ceremony, James Thompson took the stage to deliver a special speech. His presence, as always, radiated a serene dignity that naturally silenced the room. 45 years ago, he began, I was cleaning this very floor where I stand now. Back then, I wrote in my diary about a dream that seemed impossible, to turn this hotel into a place where everyone would be treated with dignity, regardless of their background or appearance. Today, thanks to a young woman who had the courage to turn a mistake into a powerful lesson, that dream has not only come true, but has grown even larger than I could have imagined. William then joined his father on stage, bringing with him a surprise. The old janitor uniform James used to wear, preserved as a relic of the hotel. "This uniform," said William, "will take a place of honor in our memorial, alongside my father's diary, because they symbolize that true greatness isn't in the titles we hold, but in the dignity with which we treat one another." Emily was called to the stage to hand out the diplomas. Each graduate who stepped up to receive their certificate had a unique story of overcoming challenges. There were children of employees, young people from underprivileged communities, individuals who had never imagined having an opportunity like that. The most emotional moment was when Isabella took the stage to hand the diploma to her own son. The tears in the housekeeper's eyes reflected the pride of seeing Daniel fulfilling a dream that, just months earlier, had seemed impossible. During the party that followed, Emily mingled among the guests when she was surprised by news brought by Olivia. The Ocean View Hotel's program had been selected as a case study by a renowned international business school. "They want to document the entire process," Olivia explained, excited. "From the initial incident to the implementation of the hospitality school, they say it's a unique example of how a company can combine service excellence with social responsibility." But the biggest surprise of the night was yet to come. Ethan Carter, the blogger who had first shared the hotel's story, took the stage for a special announcement. He was launching a book about the transformation of the Ocean View Hotel, titled Beyond Appearances, The Ocean View Hotel Revolution. "This isn't just a book about a hotel," Ethan said. "It's a story about how a mistake can turn into an opportunity for change, about how humility can be more luxurious than the finest marble, and about how dreams written in a janitor's diary can spark a revolution in how we think about hospitality." The morning after the graduation, Emily arrived early at the hotel, as she always did. The lobby still bore traces of the previous night's celebration, some flowers, decorative banners, and most of all, the lingering air of joy that seemed to permeate the space. She headed to her favorite spot, the reception desk where it had all begun. She smiled as she remembered the day she had judged William by his simple clothes. How had that moment of error turned into something so extraordinary? "Lost in thought?" asked a familiar voice. It was William, wearing his signature simple t-shirt and shorts. "Just reminiscing about how it all started," Emily replied. "Sometimes I still wonder how you had the wisdom to turn my mistake into something so positive." William smiled. "You know, Emily, there are two types of people. Those who make mistakes and try to hide them, and those who turn their mistakes into opportunities for growth. You've proven to be the second type." They were interrupted by Sophia, who arrived carrying a folder full of documents. "Sorry, but you need to see this. The applications for the next class at the hospitality school have tripled, and we have candidates from 5 different states." "And that's not all," added Olivia, who was approaching with her tablet. 3 international hotel chains have just requested a partnership to implement our training program." Emily felt a wave of emotion as she realized the impact her work was having. At that moment, James Thompson joined the group, holding something in his hands. It was his old diary. "Emily," he said, handing the diary to her, "I want you to keep this. Continue writing our story." "But Mr. James, this is a relic of the hotel," Emily protested. "Exactly," he replied with a serene smile. "And now it's your turn to add new chapters to it. After all, you've proven that you perfectly understand the true meaning of luxury and hospitality." At that moment, the first guests of the day began to arrive. Emily watched with pride as each employee welcomed them. From the messenger to the manager, everyone displayed that unique blend of professionalism and warmth that had become the hallmark of the Ocean View Hotel. "Look at that," said Michael, who had just arrived for his shift, pointing to a group entering the hotel. It was Daniel, now officially and proudly wearing the trainee uniform of the hotel, welcoming his first guests with a genuine and warm smile. "You know what's most beautiful?" Sophia commented. "He's doing exactly what he learned, treating each person as unique and special, regardless of their appearance." Emily opened James's diary to the last blank page. She picked up a pen and began to write. "Today begins a new chapter in the history of the Ocean View Hotel, a chapter that reminds us that true luxury isn't in the crystals or marbles, but in the sparkle in the eyes of those who feel truly welcomed. A chapter that started with a mistake, but turned into a lesson about second chances and transformation." William, reading over her shoulder, smiled. "You know, Emily, when we hired you as the head receptionist, we expected technical excellence. What we got was so much more, a revolutionary who helped us redefine the meaning of luxury hospitality." Emily closed the diary, feeling the weight of responsibility and honor in her hands. She looked around, at Sophia, her loyal partner on this journey, at Michael, who had transformed from critic to advocate, at Olivia, who always believed in her potential, at William, who had the wisdom to turn a mistake into an opportunity, and at James, the man who started it all with a seemingly impossible dream. At that moment, a new guest entered the hotel, dressed simply and carrying a worn-out backpack. All the staff, without exception, greeted him with the same respect and kindness they would offer a head of state. Emily smiled, knowing that this scene perfectly symbolized everything they had achieved. The Ocean View Hotel was no longer just a luxury hotel. It was a place where dreams came true, where mistakes turned into opportunities, and where every person, regardless of their appearance or background, was treated with the dignity they deserved. And so, as the morning sun lit up the lobby through the enormous glass windows, Emily realized that her journey wasn't ending. It was just beginning. Because some stories have no end. They continue to inspire new stories, new dreams, and new transformations in an endless cycle of evolution and learning.